nowadays you got to have that because people nowadays.
Before we get straight into the podcast, I just want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, Declan Kirby GAA Star. Declan Kirby GAA Star Championship Journey. It's a series of GAA team children's books written by primary school teacher and GAA coach Michael Egan. You can check it out in the link in the description down below, of course, as well. Follow the trials and tribulations of Declan Kirby and his team at Smithgreen Gaelic Football Club, recently formed but promising GAA team. The book is now available in Easons and all good bookshops, so check it out in the description down below, and let's get straight into it. So it's the morning after the night before Mayo's brilliant victory over Dublin at Croke Park, winning by a scoreline of 17 points to 14. A historic win in many ways for Mayo. You know, they hadn't beaten Dublin in 9 championship meetings, and at the 10th attempt they finally go and get just their 3rd ever championship win over Dublin and their 1st since 2012. And what I thought I would do was have a look through various Twitter reactions, have a look through what a lot of people were saying on Twitter, on social media, and see what the reaction is. It is the morning after Mayo's victory, and look, listen, as a Dublin man myself, I woke up this morning thinking, was it a nightmare, was it a dream? But unfortunately it was a reality. And I did watch the game this morning and certainly had maybe a little bit of a different outlook on the game having watched it back. I probably didn't realise how bad the officiating was when I was watching the game live, but it was absolutely horrendous. I don't think Conor Lane should ever referee a game again. But look, listen, my opinions don't really change too much since yesterday. Well-deserved victory of Mayo. They were by far the better side, and certainly a lot of worry for Dublin. And I think whilst Mayo will get a lot of praise, and rightly so, I do think there's a lot of worries for Dublin, and the issues might be a lot bigger than people think here. But anyway, my name is Aaron and this is GAA Fan TV. If you are new around here, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. The watch-along stream that I've done at the weekend has over 12,000 views at this moment in time. The match reaction has over 3,000 views as well. Like, I'm absolutely blown away by the support over the past couple of hours and the last day or so. I mean, I think the channel has gained like 200 subscribers in the past 24 hours, which is just, mind-blowing, to be perfectly honest. So for all the new people who have subscribed, whether you are all Mayo fans or whatever, I do really appreciate it. And look, listen, we do a number of videos around here, GAA content, interviews, podcasts, player interviews, match reactions, reacting to what everyone is saying on social media, a whole range of GAA content. So I really do hope you enjoy all the content around here, but let's get straight into it. So undoubtedly Twitter exploded last night with Mayo's victory. I mean, it was just a historic win in many ways for Mayo, and I think for a lot of people, I think they were quite relieved to see Dublin lose a game in the Senior Football Championship, having won the All-Ireland in the past 6 years in a row. And the first real tweet comes in here from Tommy Rooney, and he says, "That was incredible and so fitting that it was Mayo who did it. Dublin were the greatest we've ever seen. But it's felt like the end was coming this year. Mayo had the bottle to go and do it." Reaction from Desi Farrell, James Horn and Paddy Andrews coming up and off the ball. Yeah, look, listen, what a way for Mayo to do it. And it probably, there's something kind of romantic about Mayo beating the Dubs. It's been quite a historic rivalry between Dublin and Mayo down the years over the past 10 years. You think of all the All-Ireland finals, you think of the own goals in that 2016 final. You think of 2019 when Dublin just completely blew Mayo out the park. You think of 2012 when an unbelievable first half performance by Mayo was enough to beat the Dubs. And you go back to 2015 and the 2 titanic semi-finals there as well. 2017 going down the line, Dean Rock scoring the winner, Cillian O'Connor hitting the post at the other end. I mean, it just really, really went down to the absolute war between Dublin and Mayo down the years. And it probably is fitting that it is them, because they're the side that has worked so hard down the years to beat Dublin, and finally they got that reward. And fair play to them, very well deserved of the victory. And in some ways, actually, as a Dublin fan, I'm happy it is Mayo, because I wouldn't have liked to seen Kerry do it. But look, listen, we'll see what happens obviously now in the All-Ireland final in a couple of weeks' time. James O'Donoghue says here, some going by Desi Farrell. He's managed to turn the best team of all time into a cynical shower of tramps that wouldn't look out of place in an Ulster Championship scrap. Think you're being harsh in many ways there, James. Now, this isn't James O'Donoghue of Kerry or anything like that, just to clarify. I'm not too sure who he is, but he's definitely not the Kerry footballer, just to put it out there. Bit harsh on Ulster football as well, a little bit here in my opinion. I think Ulster football has been tremendous down the years, and I think the physical battles in Ulster in the past has been brilliant to watch, between the likes of Armagh, Tyrone. Look, listen, we might have seen cynical fouling here and there down the years in Ulster, but that's just the way the game goes sometimes. And, the dark arts of football, the dark arts of sports is something that's in all sports. You see it in soccer. We see it, maybe not so much in rugby, but we see it in soccer. We've seen it all across the board down the years. And look, listen, yeah, Dublin got very, very cynical on the second half. And like what I said in my live match reaction, they just ran out of ideas. They ran out of options. And I don't think it was a specific game plan from Dessie Farrell to say, oh, just keep fouling, keep, get as many black cards as you can, elbow lads in the head and all sorts of crack. I don't think that was ever the plan from Dessie Farrell in Dublin. I'm sure there was a case of Dessie saying, look, listen, maybe slow the game down at different stages, maybe foul the odd player here and there. But it just got out of hand and Dublin's legs went. They just had nothing else left. The only other option for Dublin to get over the line was to just drag themselves over. And they resorted to cynical fouls, dragging players down, all sorts of stuff you don't want to see on a Gaelic football team. But I think to say Dessie Farrell turned them into a cynical shower of tramps is just very, very harsh in my opinion. And you have to remember these are amateur athletes at the end of the day. Let's show them all a bit of respect here. Bernard Brogan, remember him? He says still a bit shell-shocked. Some heart from Mayo, hard luck to the Dubs. Tough to take today, but they have been awesome champions. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, to win 6 All-Irelands in a row, and I think it's, in many ways, it's sort of a strange thing. Sometimes in life we don't appreciate things until they're gone, and you're seeing a couple of stats come out probably last night and probably now for the next week of, how long this championship run has been for Dublin. 45 wins in the championship, which is just nothing short of remarkable, really. Like 25 wins or 45 wins. Brian Fenton never losing a championship game. You had Conor O'Callaghan never losing a championship game. 6 All-Irelands in a row, beating a brilliant Kerry side in 2019, beating that Mayo team, beating Tyrone in 2018. Just extraordinary stuff. And look, listen, it's Mayo's day, it's Mayo's weekend. They're the ones that should get all the plaudits, and they're the ones that should get all the praise. But when it's all said and done, I do think there'll be a time when we look back at this Dublin side and think, do you know what? That was a phenomenal, phenomenal achievement, winning 6 All-Irelands in a row. Colin Parkinson says, what a win that is, dead and buried at half-time, missing Cillian O'Connor and Mullen. And O'Shea had a nightmare. Only Mayo could win that. The crazy gang. Yeah, and what a decision it was to take off Aidan O'Shea. Obviously, I was watching the game. I was doing a live watch along, and I didn't know at the time whether it was an injury or whether it was a tactical choice from James Horan. In the end, it proved to be a tactical decision from James Horan, and what a decision, and what a that takes a lot of balls to make that decision from James Horan. And I actually remember speaking to the RF podcast, back before the season started. I was doing a Mayo season preview, and one of the things he was saying was that one of the big problems with James Horan is his in-game management decisions, and I can understand maybe why down the years. He probably last year in the final, when Dublin went down to 14 men, Michael Plunkett was the extra man. Maybe they should have used Oisin Mullen as the extra man and pushed them further up the pitch, or maybe done something different in that game. But you cannot argue that was a masterstroke from Aidan O'Shea, because Jordan Flynn, who came off the bench, okay, he came on for Owen McLaughlin, but he made a massive impact in the game. Brian Walsh was unbelievable as well. And James Carr, it wasn't just their points taken, it was their movement. They brought so much energy, and like what I said before, Dublin were dead on their feet. They ran out of energy, ran out of steam, the engine was gone. The fuel was out of the tank, and Mayo's new players who came off the bench made a huge, huge difference. And that was one of the main reasons, I think, why Mayo did eventually get over the line in extra time. Oisin Kiernan says Tommy Conroy can move some pace. Yeah, I mean, that man is extraordinary with the ball. One of the best ball carriers in the game. At the moment, just tremendous at moving, bobbing and weaving, creating that extra bit of space. When he gets on the ball, he makes things happen. And in the first half for Mayo, I think I only remember him being on the ball once, and that was right at the end of the first half, put a chance wide. But that was the first real stage where we've seen what Tommy Conroy can do, and I think in the second half he was absolutely unbelievable and a key difference for Mayo getting that victory. John Duggan says, and to conclude, if Stephen Cluxton and Jack McCaffrey are no longer in your team, you are without two of the greatest players to have ever graced Croke Park. Absolutely. Dermot Connolly, I think, is another one in there as well. I think Jeremy Connolly arguably could have had a couple more years left in the tank. I think Jack McCaffrey, obviously still fairly young himself, could easily still play, but he's obviously opted out. And look, listen, will Jack McCaffrey ever return to the Dublin fold? I don't know. Maybe having seen Dublin lose to Mayo, I seen Jack McCaffrey's interviewing off the ball last year, and he was saying the motivation levels weren't there. He didn't feel like there was anything left to achieve. And I think I would kind of say probably the same with a lot of Dublin players down the years who have opted out and left the panel is, what else do you have left to achieve? You've won 6 in a row. Is 7 in a row that much of a bigger achievement than 6 in a row? Probably not. It's just an extra number. It's an extra medal. It's an extra All-Ireland. And look, listen, I'm sure they wouldn't decline it and say no. But is that a big enough motivation rather than winning 5 in a row, which was obviously such a huge achievement at the time? So I'm not sure. Maybe Jack McCaffrey might return. To be honest, I doubt it. But when you don't have those two players, it's without doubt are going to have a big loss on Dublin. And yeah, a lot of soul searching now in the next couple of weeks and months for Dublin to try and see how they can at least get some quality back into the side and in and around those positions, and maybe bring through new lads into the team as well. Robert Joyce says that's the end of Conor Lane's refereeing career anyway. Junior C maybe. Yeah, absolutely. I think after watching the game back, so many poor decisions, soft frees, slowing the game down, so many bad challenges going on all over the pitch, and easily could have had a couple of players sent off. So yeah, some very poor refereeing by Conor Lane, and unfortunately it's kind of been a common theme throughout the GAA in 2021. There's been so many games this year where we've come out of and thought, oh, that was a dreadful decision by that referee, or this referee done this. And you think back to hurling, so many awful decisions. You think back to the Clare and Tip game when Aidan McCarthy was sin bin for giving away a foul over on the sideline, and it was given as a penalty. Aaron Glenn should have been sent off for Limerick in one of those games, and that wasn't given. The Tipperary game where Michael Coyley, or where Waterford get a penalty late on in that game as well. There's just so many poor decisions. You think back to Kerry and Dublin in the league when I can't remember who scored the goal now for Kerry, but the referee pulled it back. I think it might have been was it Paul Murphy, I think, who was playing, put the ball in the back of the net. So many bad decisions have happened in the this year in refereeing, and I really, really hope that they fix this going into the All-Ireland final, because I don't want to hear, I hate hearing, oh, the referee was the reason why such and such team won and blah, 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 because it just takes away from what the winning team has achieved, and it's like an excuse to try and discredit their win, and I don't like it. I don't like to see it, and I just really, really hope now that the referees are sorted out going into this final, because look, listen, I know it's not an easy job, it's a very tough job, and I wouldn't like to be a referee myself, but surely there's something we can do. Is it VAR? Is it TMO? I don't know, but something surely needs to be done at this point. Sinead McGhee says, what a game. It's rare that you cheer for another county as if it's your own. I watched the last 15 minutes standing, shouting at the TV, amazing Mayo. Yeah, I can imagine why a lot of fans wanted to see. I think when you see a team dominate for so long, I think it's quite refreshing to see another team come along and do something. I remember when Kilkenny lost in 2010 to Tipperary, and Lark Corbett was scoring all those goals for Tip in the All-Ireland final, and Kilkenny were such a dominant force. It was just it was lovely to see someone different come along, and Tipperary come along. And then 2013, when obviously you had Clare win the All-Ireland, 2018 Limerick came along. It can be quite nice to see the sort of usual champions get the throne, and I think a lot of people just don't like Dublin. I understand why. I understand there is a lot of like in every city, like in every county, there's Egypts in every county, and look, listen, I can understand maybe why a lot of Mayo fans and fans around the country wanted Dublin to not be successful, given how successful they've been over the past 6 or 10 years. But yeah, fair play to Mayo. Huge victory. David Brady says, you don't need silverware to know you from a special place, and boy, Jesus, are we proud of our people, men and women. Yeah, David Brady definitely enjoying that victory, and it's only been 3 times now in Mayo's senior football championship history that they have beaten the Dubs. And as I said before in previous videos and the videos last night, I would love to see Mayo go on and win the All-Ireland at this point. I think Mayo, having not won the All-Ireland, having had so many All-Ireland final defeats, just give them their moment. And I'd love to see Mayo do it and delay this Kerry team that I think is very likely to dominate the All-Ireland scene now over the next 3 to 4 years. I think if they don't win it this year, they'll probably win it next year. So, yeah, come on, Mayo. Do us all a favour. Beat Kerry. Do us all a favour. Ronan Patterson says, my God, the GA needed that. It feels like it from what a lot of people said. As a Dublin fan, I can't quite agree with that. Not because I understand the logic behind that completely, but I am a Dublin fan, and I am a passionate Dublin fan. Been to see Dublin so many times, supported them for all my life, so I can't really say I needed that, but I do understand it, and I can understand why a lot of people, like what I said earlier, having seen a team be so successful for so long, it's quite refreshing. It's going to be the first All-Ireland final since 2014 that Dublin have not been involved in, and it's going to be only the second All-Ireland final since 2010 that Dublin are not going to be involved in. So yeah, I can completely understand why it will be refreshing to see a different county lift the Sam Maguire for the first time since 2014. This was from Dublin GAA fans. The abuse Philly McMahon is getting totally uncalled for. So-called GAA fans disrespecting his late brother and his dad, who passed away recently, is absolutely disgusting and shameful. Philly is a great role model for many kids, and he's an inspiration to us all. Yeah, I'd completely agree with this. Look, listen, I understand maybe Philly McMahon gets involved with things he shouldn't get involved with, and he can be a bit of a pot stirrer at different times when he gets on the pitch and different things. But look, listen, he has been a role model, not just for Dublin, but for communities in general. I've seen a number of his talks that he's done about his brother before, and obviously promoting drug awareness and different kind of things. And I just think any abuse towards any players, amateur athletes, is, when you're bringing people's dads and mothers and family into it, like, there's just no need for that whatsoever. Like, why, what, I just don't understand that at all. Same for any player, not just because he's a Dublin player, but if people were doing that for Mayo players or Aidan O'Shea or whatever, or people giving abuse here and there, just don't really get it, don't understand it, don't like it. These are amateur athletes. These are humans at the end of the day. They have lives outside of the GAA. Did Philly McMahon come on and kind of stir up the pot a bit and, start create a couple of fights here and there and antagonise a lot of the Mayo players? Yeah, he did. And look, listen, that's his own prerogative. Is that right or wrong? It's probably wrong. But does that warrant a lot of the abuse he gets? Absolutely not. And I think, for a lot of people, think about it in your shoes. If people were going mad at your dad or your mother or your brother or whatever, just very uncalled for, and yeah, just don't like it whatsoever. Conor Mortimer says here, surprised at Dublin's lack of discipline when the game was in the final stretch. Needless black cards most likely wouldn't have happened in previous years. Yeah, it did. It did get very much out of hand. It really, really did for Dublin. There's no doubt about that. Towards the end of the game, like what I was saying before, they just really, really got over the top. Too many cynical fouls, and like what I said before, ran out of energy, ran out of steam, didn't have a game plan, didn't have a plan B, trying to play this ultra defensive football, playing it around from side to side. I just think we lost our way, and you would have to ask the question, is this Dublin team being overworked, overcoached? Is that maybe why a lot of players are leaving the panel? Is this why a lot of players are retiring young? Is this why Paul Mannion opted out? Is this why Jack McCaffrey opted out? Backroom staff are leaving. A lot of question marks need to be asked. Is what is going on behind the scenes? Like, why is Jason Sherlock not part of the management panel anymore? Why have a lot of other sort of big names left the panel? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of things that need to be figured out, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of soul searching over the next couple of months. It'll be a long winter for Dublin, and without doubt, they'll knuckle down and try to figure out what went wrong here. Joe Brawley says here, Dublin learned that efficiency is no substitute for passion. Mayo, meanwhile, inspired us and sent us away with hope that this unprecedented period of dominance by one team, this era of oppression, is over. They played with freedom, concentration, and most importantly, character. Joe Brawley has certainly been one to write a lot of columns down the years about the opposite, in fact, about Mayo. He's often said that Mayo don't have any real leaders or characters, and there's too much messing going on behind the scenes and all sorts of things, and that the players control the dressing room and control the team. And he's come out with some mad things down the years, and maybe at half time that was the column he was probably going to write, and maybe he had to go back and change it or something like that. I really don't know, but he is right here. There's no getting away from it. Mayo did inspire a lot of people with their sheer determination and passion, and they just never gave up. They just never gave in. Even Jeremy O'Connor, when that ball was going out over the sideline and he kind of just volleyed it back on the ground and just slid out. I mean, exceptional stuff. Mayo just never gave up. They stuck at it. They kept themselves within touching distance. And, one of the things I even said, I remember going back to the All-Ireland final preview last year, was that a lot of the Mayo players in that team don't have that stigma attached with them of losing those All-Ireland finals or losing all those big games. Like, for example, Ryan O'Donoghue wasn't a part of the 2017 panel. Like, he was a part of the panel last year, but that's one game. Oisin Mullen the same. Tommy Conroy the same. A lot of new players that have come through the fore from Mayo haven't been a part of those squads that were losing in 2017, 2016, 2014, 2013, etc. So these players haven't experienced that, so it's completely different, and fair play to them. Very well deserved of the victory, huge win, and they certainly showed a lot of character to get over the line. Anyways, lads, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here. Do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Once again, very much appreciate all the recent subscribers, comments, likes, and all of that as well. And stay tuned for more videos. The football review podcast will be out tomorrow between myself and John McMahon of the JMac podcast, and I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about Dublin's failure against Mayo in this game. But we'll wait and see, and stay tuned for that, and I'll see you all later.